In this video, I'm going to talk about cash, digital currencies, and central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. First of all, a distinction needs to be made between cash and any digital currency in any bank or on any computer system. Cash obviously refers to the physical form of currency, paper money and metal coins in circulation, the ones we use every day in stores and such like. So this includes all the banknotes and all the coins of whatever denomination. As for digital currency, what I'm referring to are the figures you see when you log into an online account, or the figures you see when you go to an ATM to check up on your balance, or the figures you see on a monthly bank statement. The cash and digital currency combined go to make up the total amount of currency in circulation in a country. It's important to bear in mind that it's only in relatively recent times that we've had digital currencies. Prior to the digital age, cash was all that was available. Cash was king. It might come as something of a surprise to some of you to learn that the actual amount of cash in the economy nowadays is only about 5%. The other 95% is digital. This means that cash is no longer king. Our overlords have been waging war on cash for a while now. They've been trying to eliminate cash altogether and make all economies 100% digital. And they've been doing this bit by bit. If a completely new system were introduced, all of a sudden people would react badly. So they do such things very gradually in order not to get much pushback. Anyway, why would they want to have CBDCs, you might ask? Well, in my opinion, it's simply to do with control. Our overlords love control, and our overlords don't like cash mainly because it's beyond their control. Cash is somewhat anonymous and also invisible. You can go into any shop and pay for a product using cash, and our overlords would know nothing about it. This aspect irks them. This, by the way, is one of the reasons why they don't like precious metals, gold and silver either. Being held in people's possession, they are beyond the control of our overlords. It should also be said that silver is the people's money, and our overlords don't care much for the ordinary people of this planet. There are, of course, other reasons than these, but anyway. Our overlords are not yet in complete control, but make no mistake, that is their ultimate objective. So, the war on cash conducted by our overlords then has been carried out in order to get rid of cash completely so that they can bring in centralized digital currencies and extend their control still further and achieve their aims. If you're not already aware, the plans of our overlords are to recreate a feudal system of a bygone age with two distinct groups, the lords and the serfs. As something of a side note, while debit cards and credit cards might be convenient and safer than cash, for me they represent part of the war that is being waged against cash by the banksters on behalf of our overlords. Credit card companies also profit hugely by credit cards. There are often many reasons why such things are introduced, not just one. Anyway, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, would do away with cash altogether. The currency would become 100% digital. In China, people use their phones to pay for all goods. Cash is hardly ever used. It could be argued that this wouldn't be all that different to our present situation because, as I said earlier, the currencies we use now are more or less digital anyway. Cash only represents a very small percentage of currencies in use, so no big deal, you might say. However, while that is indeed true, there is one crucial difference that has to be considered. At present, there are a collection of networks or systems in operation. Maybe it will be helpful to think this in terms of being like other systems in society, such as the healthcare system, with the various hospitals, GP, medical centres, helplines and so forth. I believe that I'm right in saying that each bank has its own network or database system, and then there are credit card companies like MasterCard, Visa and American Express. And then there are other payment systems like PayPal and Stripe. Then there are also money transfers companies like Western Union and MoneyGram. Then you have other financial systems like SWIFT. These separate systems all go to make up what could be called the financial system that's been overlaid onto the real economy. Anyway, while it's true that these networks or systems might link up and overlap, there's still a collection of separate entities. What our overlords want to do is to create one giant, unified, seamless, all-encompassing system, an immense superstructure, a colossal control grid. If this were to come to pass, this would totally transform the world of finance as we know it today. Big changes would occur. Under the proposed system, there would probably be very few high street banks. No credit card companies, no PayPal, Stripe, no Western Union, no MoneyGram, no SWIFT. There would just be one CBDC which provides all these functions for each nation. It's possible that they could keep some big banks as points of contact for the public, but they would probably be merely facades, stage scenery, kept in place to provide the illusion of normality, so it would seem as if it were business as usual. The reality, however, would be that central banks would be running the operations behind the scenes in a far more comprehensive and direct manner than they do now. As far as I'm concerned, CBDCs will usher in totalitarian tyranny. I'm not going to say too much more beyond this. I've done a whole mini-series of videos warning about the dangers of CBDCs. So, if you fancy being a serf for the rest of your life, then CBDCs and social credit systems are for you. All that is required is your compliance and your apathy. Simply ignore my warnings and do nothing to oppose CBDCs. If, however, you value your freedoms, then you should seriously consider opposing the CBDCs and social credit systems that they are right now in the process of bringing into being. But the choice is yours. You still have that freedom. Wise up and rise up.